Hi, this is an audio on the PowerPoint presentation given at the DD101 Day School on May 10. The main aim of this is to point you towards the next level, not just deal with what you've done so far, but there are skills associated with this course, and I'm just going to review some of them with you. Think about reflective practice, consider especially the cognitive domain skills, and learning a little bit more about learning outcomes. Here's the initial skills audit we asked you to do. You may not have done it, but you could do it now. These are the type of things that are built into the skills, using any feedback, accessing information from different sources. I'd like to dwell on number 2 here, because you probably know that most courses from A level onwards do have a synoptic element. That means at the end of the course, the assessments draw together synoptically the ideas that have been building in the course. And one of the problems with online learning that some people experience is that they haven't got a way of keeping the information. So we did discuss this a little bit at the day school. One student kindly mentioned Evernote, which a lot of people use with their iPads. Microsoft now have made OneNote free, and that is quite a sophisticated little program. And there's lots of snippet tools. Microsoft have got one. Snagit is a brilliant tool for snipping bits and pieces from websites and putting them into a document. That way, for each part of the module, you will have a record of what you've been studying. I think it's important to find a way that works for you. Here are the other types of skill that we were looking for. Number 5 here is really rather important. Whatever types of assessment you are using, by now we would be worried if you hadn't made progress in terms of writing your essays. Number 6, of course, is particular to this course. Now, why a learning journal? I've got a number of reasons why I think it's a good idea to keep a learning journal. You will be amazed by your progress if you keep a diary. I think it's also, secondly, a good idea to work out your emotional response to studying. Some people find it very difficult, and I think it's worth having a look at occasionally how you're actually feeling. Is it getting you down? Is it interesting? I think to reflect on those feelings is a good idea. Thirdly, many people new to the social sciences, or indeed other technical subjects, find it useful to keep a glossary, and it is amazing how quickly your vocabulary will improve if you write down definitions of words that are new to you. Another tendency I think people have is to spend time practicing what they're good at rather than practicing what they're not so good at. And I think it would be a good idea to make a note of ways you might improve. We do tend to get stuck on things which we can't improve on. So for instance, if your tutor said your punctuation is lousy, why not say to yourself, I'm going to spend a couple of hours reading a book on punctuation and make sure I sort out my possessive apostrophes, and I won't have to worry about that anymore. This is the learning journal template that we suggested. Okay, a little bit more activity there about being self-critical and reflecting, but I'm going to move on to this model of Kolb. This is only one example of a flow diagram or circuit. This is used in the care industry. I won't dwell on it, but what I like about it, it gives you a flow or map or roadmap or whatever you want to call it for thinking about the processes of learning. This is another one we use in the arts faculty at the Open University. There's my phone ringing, and I've got to turn it off. That it starts with effects. It's probably a student asking for an extension, and you work round it. The phone's put me off. Never mind. Here's the circuit of knowledge. Questions, claims, concepts. You recognise these bubbles. The main relationship, of course, is between questions and claims, and informed by concepts. Here is a much more complicated circuit of knowledge, and you'll notice here in yellow the 3 tests which are dealt with in activity 43. If you could apply those 3 tests in your last TMA, you will be rewarded, I'm sure. The learning outcomes is the next part of the PowerPoint. I don't want to spend too much time on knowledge and understanding, nor key skills, all of which are important. I want to focus on cognitive skills. This comes, these are the key higher level skills which this course has been trying to cultivate. And they come from Bloom. How it works in Benjamin Bloom's hierarchy is that knowledge is the most basic form of learning. Once you can get that, you can start comprehending, applying, analysing, synthesising and evaluating. What I think might be a surprise to many people is that knowledge is at the bottom. There we are, the cognitive domain explained in number form. Just want to go to a Word document for a while. Bloom argued that everybody could learn if they went about it the right way. This is called his theory of mastery learning. There wasn't only the cognitive domain, there was the affective and the psychomotor. A little bit about the affective domain first. Here is the affective domain pyramid. This would be for someone, say, learning to be a counsellor. Once they can receive, they can respond, they can value, they can organise and they can characterise. That might be somebody in the care industry. Now here's a simpler one. Say someone's learning to drive and they're being tested in those skills. First level skill is to imitate. Once you can imitate, copy, you can start to manipulate. Then you can have the skills of precision. Then you can speak about it. And then it becomes finally second nature. You don't have to think about driving. Okay, now let's go to the cognitive domain now. This one here gives you little definitions of what each of these means. You see, with knowledge, it's only recall data. So what? Whereas when you get down to synthesis and evaluation, you're being able to create and build and evaluate. These are higher level skills. Now, one of the things I'd like you to realise is that, let's take the knowledge process words here. Again, they're not that difficult, whereas compared with, say, synthesis, these words are much more demanding, as of course will be evaluation. So, going back to the PowerPoint, if you want to get into passes 1 and 2, you've got to learn to evaluate. and analyse. Your writing's got to be critical and analytical. Finally, some thoughts about professional and practical skills. You may have noticed that the Open University and other courses are much more organised around employability, and I just thought I'd point to Stella Cottrell's book, because in that book she gives you a template for working out slowly but surely how your skill levels have been improving. By the end of reading that book and following the instructions, you have a portfolio which you could put on your computer and show to any prospective employer. I have one anecdote about this. A course I teach on at second level has a final piece where they ask you to take a skill you've learned on the course and say how you've applied it in your job. And I've been struck by so many people using PowerPoint presentations at work and saying how much better their presentations have been since they've done PowerPoint presentations at the OU. Anyway, I hope you found some of this useful, and good luck.